Okay, so we're working on clipping with Bali. This is probably her 4th or 5th session working on this, and I like to break clipping down into pieces because horses can have trouble with a lot of different parts of clipping. The noise of the clippers, the feeling and the vibration of the clippers, especially on their nose. That was kind of her biggest challenge. The cord moving around them, and also having their head restrained and trapped. So we want to kind of chunk those down into pieces, and I'll kind of show you the work that I've done with her, preparing her for the total sum of parts. One thing is to get her used to the cord moving around her, and I did this with a really long extension cord first, getting it down around her legs, getting her used to having it zipping around on the ground and making noise, and pulling on her feet and stuff like that. And you can even start with a rope for that and not get your electrical stuff in the way, but that's not really a big issue for her anymore, and now I have a short cord so it won't be getting down around her feet anyway. The next part is having the head restrained bit, and so a prerequisite to clipping that I like to have them do is be able to come and put their head down while you're sitting down low, and be able to have kind of like a head hug where I hold her head and ask her to yield to that pressure, and let me, rub her all over and have her just submit to that. So this is, I'd say this is probably about 50% good. She'll come down, she'll stay down pretty well, but she's not completely relaxed and totally submissive. But this is something that's really good to just keep in your practice, in your daily routine, because it can help with bridling, haltering, any kind of procedure that needs to be done to their face, eye drops, or worming or clipping. So these are kind of the ways that I'll break down being able to clip her head. Then the noise of the clippers and the feeling of the clippers on her body, the worst thing you can do with a horse that hasn't been clipped before is come straight at their head or their ears. All the places that we want to clip them are the last that we should go, because those are the most delicate and defensive areas on a horse. So she's not going to be that bothered by the sound because I've done this a lot, but I'll turn on and off the clippers a little bit away from her and get her used to them moving around with me just holding them, touching her with my hand, and then eventually rubbing them on her body. I've clipped her legs already. That can be another sensitive area for the horse. But if you start up on the shoulder, where you're not likely to get struck at with a horse that's nervous, and move around their body, just rubbing the clipper on them until they really couldn't care less. And she did not start out caring less 5 sessions ago, but she could care less now. So that's when I'm ready to start to move towards the delicate areas. Also notice that I don't have her tied. It's really important for her feeling of safety that she be able to move her feet if she wants to, and then once she doesn't need to, she's at the point now in her confidence and calmness where I could tie her. I'd feel comfortable tying her, but in the beginning I don't, because they need to be able to move, and I'll just redirect that motion rather than causing them to stand side when they still have a safety issue. So then when I'm ready to start on the face, I also don't go straight into the blades, and she's still a little bit touchy to the feeling of the clippers on her nose. So I'll just do that in little bits at a time, letting her relax in between for a little touching to make sure she's comfortable. Clippers are something a horse is very likely to strike at if they get really nervous and bothered by them in the beginning. So especially when it's in their nose or coming up out of their blind spot here. So again, with a horse that's new to clipping, you want to be really careful of that. Another good tip is to watch the heat of the clippers, because they can get hot too, especially when you're running them kind of constantly without touching the horse to desensitize them. So check them often with your hand to make sure you're not burning your horse, because of course that will make them a little touchier than they need to be about it. And make sure your blades are sharp so that the hairs don't catch and get pulled, because any kind of pain or discomfort obviously is going to make them shy about that. So then I'll just do in little pieces here, working on clipping, and I'm much less, this is her it's probably more than her 5th session, to be honest, but it's probably her 4th or 5th day in a row of working in little 10 or 15-minute sessions. And this is the first day that I've actually been concerned about actually getting some of the hair off of her nose. Before that, I just really put the principle of her building confidence around the clippers first, and I don't care about getting the job done. We did her, I've done her legs and I've done her bridle path, but this nose has been the hardest part for her to tolerate, and then I'll do her ears last. And her ears might even be easier than her nose. That muzzle on some horses can just be really, really sensitive to that right there. Is the funny tickly place. Got it, girl. And then I try not to release her out of that pressure while she's being jumpy about it. I try and just keep that stimulation going while she's fussing. I'll stand up if I need to, walk with her if I need to, and then I'll quit when she's tolerating it, to train her to have a little more tolerance. It doesn't hurt her, it just annoys her. And in the beginning it was scaring her, now she's just a little bit more irritated. The other thing I can do to help her with that, these sensitive horses, is desensitize them with the hand before I go with the clippers. So every time I put that clipper against her, I'll rub her nose first and work up to the clipping. Because these ones can just be driven nuts, even by the difference in the feel of the buzzing touching her nose versus the hairs actually getting ticked off her nose by the clippers. We used to do little thoroughbred weanling sales prep for the thoroughbred racehorse sales, and those little buggers were so sensitive on their nose because they were young. They were 10 months, 12 months, and especially young horses. That can just be almost intolerable. They're so sensitive there. You really have to go slow and be so patient. That's a good girl. So that's how I'll build up to getting that job done, with her really putting her comfort first and the job second, and being willing to do that over several sessions at a time. And, but that'll set her up for being comfortable with clippers for her life.